Before today's episode, I wish to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nations, and recognise their continued connection to the beautiful land and sea. I'd also like to pay my respects to the elders past, present and emerging, and I extend this acknowledgement to the traditional owners of the land my listeners are on. Welcome to Ritual the Podcast, your cottage in the woods. A sacred space for the witches, the healers, the magical folk to meet and speak of wisdom, witchery, and old world magic, where people come to learn, to hear stories, to share secrets, and to be free to be their true selves. Welcome to Ritual. Is it on?
Oh my god, it is.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of... Oh, where were you?
Amy's podcast.
Ritual, the podcast with me and Paddy today.
Hello, I am also present in the booth.
We are here for a very special reason today, and that reason is...
Are you going to do this a lot?
No.
This episode? So, we are here to discuss Ostara.
Ostara, the Spring Equinox. Now, just so everyone knows, I accidentally...
Before today's recording, there was an incident.
I accidentally threw my entire mug of tea on the floor and on Paddy's feet.
Freshly brewed, straight from the kettle.
Straight from the kettle.
And no milk to dilute the temperature.
No, it was hot. So
it was pretty
happened.
Hot. No, Amy was moving her preggy ball into
I'm on
place.
the bouncy ball today. If you're watching. Can you...
Okay, if you're not watching, that was probably a bit weird. But it was moving. Amy was moving the ball into place, and then the ball hit. I'm gonna say the ball hit.
It wasn't
off
me.
The tea.
And the tea went everywhere.
And it's a nice mug too. It's actually
was
great
the mug
that it
okay?
didn't break. Well, you're drinking a new tea out of it. I hope so.
Oh, yeah, that was a bit sad.
Bit sad. But
anyway,
bit sad for the tea.
Now you know a bit more about our day.
You do know a wee bit more. Amy, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking this pregnancy tea from this lady she specializes in herbs for pregnancy and postpartum and when you're trying for a baby as well. She's amazing. She's actually, I think she's a doula as well, but she's in Warburton, which isn't too far from us. They're called Blissful Herbs, not sponsored, just recommended.
I was going to say, it sounded like an ad.
It's not an ad.
It wasn't an ad.
It's so yummy.
Well...
and this one's got heaps of stuff for iron and magnesium, which I need both of. So I'm excited to drink that. What are you drinking, Paddy?
Well, before I get to the tea, earlier on I was wearing some Nike shoes and using Ryobi power tools.
Not sponsored,
yeah. No, they're not heavily sponsored. No. No, I'm drinking some chai. Some Arcadia.
You were drinking that last time.
Powdered chai. I think last time it was evening. I was having a wee whiskey. But having some Arcadia chai, which is delicious with a bit of oat milk.
Nice. Oatly oat milk.
Oatly oat milk.
Just like milk, but with oats. Not sponsored.
Not sponsored. This podcast is not sponsored.
Anyway.
And that is no joke. Or no yoke, as the good people at Mornington Peninsula Eggs would say.
How have you been?
That was a squeaky ball, by the way. I've been good. I've been busy with work, as you know. For those of you who don't know, Amy and I live in the same house. And so I have been busy with work, and I have been busy trying to look after you with your pregnancy.
Yes.
And I am trying to look after myself a bit more.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Are you bored with this? You look like you checked out after I just started speaking.
No, I'm listening.
And I like to let me give you a thoughtful answer. How am I? I'm really well. I'm very happy.
Have you been affected by Mercury retrograde? That you're aware of?
comms, like communications.
Anything.
Yeah, look, there's been a couple of issues, as you know, with work stuff recently with some clients and whatnot.
I actually didn't put those two together. Yes.
Which was slightly stressful. But all is well now. All is sorted. And what about you, Amy?
I'm good.
How is everything?
I'm good. I think, if anything, I've been affected more technologically than anything, like, as in, like, reels disappearing, just, like, glitchy things. But I think I've been pretty good. I was a bit emotional on the weekend, but I think that was a big mixture of, it could have been that. I don't know.
That's to be expected, though.
But I'm good overall. Overall, I am doing well. It is school holidays at the moment, which is always relaxing.
It is relaxing. It's not. But I mean, I think, you know, and for those of you who work from home or run your own businesses from home, or even just have kids, you know, you still need to get stuff done.
Yeah, that's the thing.
There are some people who obviously take school holidays off on as leave and whatnot. Obviously, you and I don't do that.
I've been trying to go a bit more with the flow and not like put pressure on myself to try and get everything done. But I think it gets to that point where you go, I need to actually get something done.
Yes. As much as I would like to do less, I cannot.
My children don't agree with that part.
No.
They would prefer if I was just with them all the time.
Do you know the way, like, a wee puppy would sit and just stare at you, like,
that's our children.
eyes wide open? I think that's what the kids want us to do.
Yes.
Like, anything you want us to do, entertain you, cup of tea,
Give me a dance.
food, another snack, another snack, another snack, another snack.
Okay.
But they're learning, and we're learning, and we're
Sure.
trying to get better at all that kind of stuff. But I think we handle it well.
Yeah.
We split the days up. Sometimes either it's like family stuff in the morning and then work time in the afternoon. The kids kind of are left to their own devices, or it's like Amy will do
half the day.
half a day. I'll do half a day, and then I'll work a lot at night time. Whereas Amy tends to kind of be in bed.
I'm out by about 8. Mentally, physically, spiritually.
Emotionally.
I'm not here anymore.
It's gone. It's just like,
that's called
kids are off to bed.
Anti-nausea medication.
I've got 45 minutes and then I'm out as well.
But yes, anyway. So
I just want to, before we do get started,
yes.
I feel like whenever I talk, you look very bored. Is that a thing, or are we
I'm not bored.
Okay, because you're about to talk for a very long time. So
No, I'm not bored. If anything, I always look tired now.
I know what you're tired of. You look bored.
I'm not bored.
Maybe you should get somebody else to co-host.
Oh my god. I'm not. This is a Mercury retrograde thing, isn't it? I am not bored.
This is
If anything, I'm thinking. But
about how bored you are.
no, I'm not bored.
I could be doing anything else right now.
No, I actually need to do this. So no, I'm not bored. Are you alright though? Do you need anything else?
That's fine. I'm good.
Okay. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. So we're here for Astara, which is on Friday, which has come along so quickly, I feel. So yeah, we're going to have a bit of a chat about that today. I do love Astara. Astara is a beautiful turn of the wheel, and I feel like it's one of the most popular because it also is known as the Spring Equinox. And I know a lot of people acknowledge that, whether or not they're on like a witchy path or not, because everyone's so freaking happy it's not winter anymore.
Yeah, and they can see the change in the buds on the trees, and it's starting to be less gloomy.
Yep.
Daylight savings is starting soon.
On our wedding anniversary, October 1st, I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
Don't
yeah.
hold me on that, but I'm pretty sure it's October 1st. Thank
And
God.
so-
I love when daylight savings is here.
I don't know what it means, but I'm happy for
Well,
it.
no, we tried to I do this the other night. It's like, so it's lighter at night time, so we wake up earlier. But I'm not doing this
Stop!
again.
It's confusing. It's like trying to
I need
think
to draw
about
my picture again.
how infinite the universe is. That and daylight savings. So
every time I have to like physically sit and visualize, like, so when I go outside, it's lighter. So when it's 5 o'clock,
what time was it?
Actually 4 o'clock. So that means I'm going to bed later.
I don't know. This is not a conversation for me.
I can't figure it out.
I don't want this.
Thank God our phones just think for us.
Let the Apple
I'll either be tired or
iPhone
awake.
do it for you.
Anyway, so that's coming up. This is a very...
This is why we haven't
professional
replaced the battery
today.
in the clock in the kitchen.
It's dead. That clock's dead.
But now we don't have to change it.
It's sometimes right, though. Do you know one time someone said, oh, is that the time? And it was actually right. It was like a fluke. It can only happen twice a day, and it happened. Anyway,
I don't remember that.
Funny.
You should have texted me.
Anyway, Astara's here all around us. New life is starting to blossom. Flower buds are opening up and stretching towards the sunlight. Leaves are turning to a vibrant green, which is what I have been looking at outside our window. It's so beautiful. So the Spring Equinox is celebrated between September 20th to the 23rd. But this year it's on the 23rd, which is on Friday.
So does that mean that then you can go either side of that as well?
Yeah, so they say you can kind of celebrate.
So 22nd to the 24th.
I mean, really, you can do it whenever you want. But I think, like, astrologically and all that stuff, it's between that time. But it lands on the 23rd this year.
Okay.
So it's a much-loved and anticipated Sabbat as it brings along new life, new growth, new possibilities, and is a literal breath of fresh air. So one thing with Astara is obviously in the northern hemisphere they're celebrating Mabon, which is the autumn equinox. So just like that time we kind of mentioned as well, is now is a time of balance because the sun, we basically share the sun where it's like the same amount of time before we gain it more for summer and they lose it for winter. So balance is a big theme of Astara and Mabon because the whole world is sharing this beautiful sunlight just for like a fraction of time.
Right.
So now is really like a time to check in and see, like, do you feel like you are in balance? Do you feel like everything is where it should be going into spring? You know, do you have a good work personal life balance? Is your health good? Like, what changes do you need to make so that you can step forward feeling like a more balanced version of yourself?
Well, as in equal.
Well,
like
equinox,
equator,
it translates
middle.
to equal.
Equal.
Yeah.
Middle. Like, look at the equator.
Yeah.
Or even the word equals, because you're getting a balance of something at the end of it.
Yeah.
As well.
I like that. Balance is a big thing. It's something I always strive for because it makes your life so much easier.
It's hard
to do, but it's worth it when you can put the work into
and it applies to so many things. You know, it could be work versus home life. It could be even, you know, spending alone time, having a balance of alone time. Or it could be eating too many chips as opposed to, or even eating too many apples. Do you know what I mean? Like, you want to have a balance of everything.
You think about, like, going through winter, you eat a lot more heartier, carby things because it's like traditionally you would, to keep yourselves warm, to put on that winter weight because it's comfort food. But now you don't have to do that anymore because fresh fruit and vegetables and herbs and everything are going to be in abundance because now is their time to be eaten. So I guess it is like looking at yourself going, well, how can I even...
What have I done?
Pretty much. How can I balance my diet? Should I remove the 14 blocks of chocolate, eat a week, and replace it with some strawberries? Probably. So it's
strawberry chocolate.
Strawberries dipped in chocolate. Balance.
Fruit versus chocolate.
So it's doing stuff like that, which I think we all need because, like, one thing I always find with Astara is, to me, like, I don't get seasonal depression But I do definitely feel by the end of winter, I have that like, it's almost like seasonal frustration where you're like, I'm so over it. I'm so over it being dark. I'm over it being cold. I just want to go outside and like do something different.
Yeah.
So I think it's always a really big relief, especially the people that do suffer from that, like in a serious medical sense.
Yeah.
It's such a weight lifted off everyone's shoulders because all of a sudden like this beautiful sun is out and everything looks prettier, like flowers are blossoming and the trees look nice, or the leaves are coming back. So I think now is just such a, it literally is like a breath of fresh air at this time.
Yeah, totally. I mean, even you look at the tree outside our window right now. That was completely bare and bald, and now there's green.
I know, I love it. It makes me so happy, and you can like go outside with bare feet. That's just one of the nicest things to do. I'm sick of wearing socks. And now it's like, yes, I can open the window and have fresh air in the house. It's stuff like that where you go, I've missed this so much and now I get to do it again.
Yeah. And good for vitamin D.
And good for vitamin D, which Paddy...
Which I need, apparently.
According to the doctor.
According to the doctor,
I think everybody does.
Low in vitamin D. But there you go.
So Astara is often closely linked with the Christian holiday that is Easter. Yes. You'll see the correspondences are very similar, and the vibe of Ostara and Easter is similar in the sense that you think of things like bunny rabbits, little chicks, eggs, all the pastel colours. They are correspondences for both holidays. Although the meaning behind them is slightly different.
Yeah.
In that, well, people debate whether or not this was one of the holidays that the Christians took from the pagans as an attempt to lure more pagans over, or they just claimed it as their own, or whatever. There's a lot of debate about this one. Also, the names are so similar.
Ostara,
Easter.
Yeah.
It's very...
I'd never joined those dots until we were talking about it the other day.
So for us, it doesn't really align because Easter is usually in April, May, whenever Easter is.
But it's a spring.
But in the northern hemisphere, they usually line up. So to them, it's like Halloween here is Beltane, but up north it's Samhain, and Halloween they link up.
Yeah.
So yes, there is a lot of debate about whether or not who had what first, because a lot of the pagan traditions of Astara go back so far. But then you go, well, Jesus also goes far back, and it's a whole thing. I prefer not to get involved. So yes, the themes are slightly different as well. So Christianity or Easter is more about the death of Jesus and his resurrection, where Astara is very much all about new life and the awakening of Earth. So I feel like it kind of has more of a positive spin.
But there is a correlation, though, if you look at it.
They're both new, like rebirth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also if you look at it, the rising of the sun. If you look at Jesus as the Son of God. Yeah. The rising of the sun, the death of the sun, the rise of the sun. And
they both use the symbolism of an egg as well, both being with like chocolate Easter eggs, or an egg if you like, people paint eggs. But the Christian version is that the egg symbolizes the tomb in which Jesus emerges from, where the pagan tradition, the egg is literally a symbol of new life. So again, it's like same thing, different story attached to it, but
I was
they
always
are very
taught
similar.
That the egg was new life as well.
I think this is more, I don't know, traditional, old school. Meant to be the tomb from where he came from. Now the Druids, they didn't celebrate Astara, but they do have their own festival called, and tell me if this is wrong because you probably know
what was it?
better, Elben Isla.
Oh yeah.
which translates to light of the earth. So on this day, they observe both the light and the dark stood as equals, and they would traditionally sow all their crops on this day, because they felt like it was a time of transition, which I think is really beautiful.
That's really nice.
And there was also another one. I've actually forgotten the name of it. I think it's in Italy. And basically, it's a festival for the spring equinox, but it's like total mayhem. Like, it's a celebration of wine and merriment, and people would just drink ridiculous amounts and basically have sex with everyone in the streets. It's like...
Whereabouts in Italy?
It's like I think it's Italy. I'm probably wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's where I read it. Yeah, it's just this huge, crazy festival where people would just, it's about like literal fertility and like letting go and just celebrating life by getting completely wasted on wine.
After you've been stuck inside eating bread all winter.
It was like, and it was almost called like the Festival of Mayhem or something like that.
Really?
Yeah. I should find out the name and
location,
and fact check and what date it's on and what the flights cost.
That sounds crazy.
It's full on. So
all right, everyone.
Yeah, it's
spring.
Crazy.
Let's go.
Full on.
By the way, you've got a wee eyelash. Let me just...
I hate my eyes being touched.
Make a wish.
Thank you. Just looking at this guy that's outside. He looks really sad. He's just sitting there.
Is it a guy?
I think so. I hope he's
Is he reading a book?
I don't know. He looks sad. Anyway, that's probably not interesting to anybody.
Do you want to go insane?
So whilst we take note of the obvious changes happening in the world around us, there is an internal change that is happening within us. So now is a time where our energy will start to return, and we will feel lighter and happier and probably more motivated to get out and like kick ass for the spring and the summer. So it's really important to embrace that change, because again, it's like letting go of that winter slumber and embracing the fact that now the days are going to be lighter and longer and warmer, and there's more abundance around us. So it's really like soaking up that energy to kind of like kick off the rest of the year. Like, we've only got a few months left, so now it's like, now is your time. During Imbolc you made all these plans, now is your time to action the plans. Really embrace that switch of energy and dive into it, because now it's time to get shit done and start thinking and planning, because you've done that. Now the seeds are to be put in the soil and you need to water them,
Yeah, nice.
Which I love. And I always do feel like as soon as this time of year kicks around, I'm always like, yes, I want to do this and this and this and this and this, because Christmas is coming up soon.
Yeah.
And then it's the new year. And yeah.
Yeah, it's a busy time of year. In our house anyway, it's a busy time of year.
It's crazy.
We've got birthdays, we've got our anniversaries, and we've got obviously Christmas.
We have a baby coming.
We have,
I know.
We have a baby coming.
I actually went through my diary the other day, putting like school dates and stuff for me, and I was like, far out. It is so busy coming up to the end of the year. So it really is just like embracing it's like a silly season that goes for like 4 months. Like
but you've got the energy of the weather and the sun on your side, as opposed to in winter it's just that wee bit harder to get up and get motivated. It's just because you're like, if I could just see the sun, or if it wasn't raining and dark.
Exactly. And also it's like, I guess from like a manifesting point is like really like soaking in that higher vibe energy, because I find often in winter it can be hard to not be positive, but manifesting is just like a little bit trickier because you are so sleepy and you kind of like, I'll do it when it gets nicer.
Yeah.
There's no point starting anything now.
Realistically, I'd like to be sitting outside.
The excuses are easier when now it's like you go like soak up that like high energy, that the buzz that's going around, and like put that towards your like manifesting or your spell work or whatever it is that you're doing, and do those spells for abundance and a new job. Like now is a time of new growth, new life, new opportunities. So now is a time to like really like kick those things off. And
like get, moving towards the end of the year, just like crank up the volume and just be like full steam ahead, like finish on a high.
Totally.
If the last couple of months have been tricky, or the last past while has been tricky or whatever, just and again use that sort of energy that you've got around you to do that.
Yeah.
It's like I remember in Ireland, and for those of you from Ireland, England, anywhere part of that part of the world, and I speak only about that part because I live there. During winter, dark at 3:30 in the afternoon, and just pitch black and cold and dreary. And when you'd move into like the summer and you might hit a heat wave at 23 degrees, everyone was in a good mood all of a sudden, and everyone was like, yeah, and it just felt like, whoa, we can do things, anything's possible.
Totally.
It was always there, but the change in season and the weather just
shakes things up a little bit.
Yeah, and you know what it's like driving to school or whatever, to drop the kids off in the morning when it's rainy, like, ooh, it's kind of cozy. But when the sun's up, you have the window down.
Hell yeah.
We've always got the tunes cranked. That's without a doubt. We've always got the tunes cranked. But it just puts
the roof window open.
It slightly puts a slightly different spin on it.
Totally.
Yeah.
And also the saying of love is in the air is always very much applied to spring. So usually with the arrival of spring, they say that the flame inside us brightens, and it does make you want to like get up and go and do and see and experience more things. So this will often trickle into your relationships, and this can be like a romantic one, it can be platonic, it can be with friends or family or whoever, but usually you go and you see people and your bond is stronger, and you want to see your friends more, you want to go and do date nights more, you want to go on adventures. So again, it's like embracing that kind of urge to be around those you love more. And also even if you are with somebody, or you're single or whatever, it's like really embracing that love you have for yourself and like doing things that make yourself feel good. Because again, it's like getting rid of that old stagnant winter energy and going like, now it's time for me to like make myself feel good going into summer, like chuck on some fake tan or go for a walk or
bikini season's just around the corner.
Like, just do something that makes yourself feel...
Get out and go for walks more often because the sun's up.
Yeah.
It's not raining all the time.
Yeah. Because, like, self-care is something that people often think is, like, selfish, but it's not. Like, we all deserve to do something for ourselves just as much as everybody else deserves something, Yeah. So I think now is, like, really allowing yourself love for yourself, if that makes sense.
True.
Another thing is to really just like take your shoes off and go outside. Like, we've been inside for so long, so going outside and standing on the earth, like not cement or concrete, like literally standing in the grass or in the dirt or in the sand, whatever, and allowing yourself to soak up all that beautiful earth magic is so beneficial for us. And this is a scientifically proven thing for your health, as in mental health and physical health. Like, going out and grounding is so good for you, even spiritually as well, because you have that urge to really get back to nature, whether that is like planting something in the garden, grounding in the soil, just like getting some fresh air in your lungs, connecting with the fae, doing whatever you want, looking at the moon outside. It's just so nice to be able to do this stuff outside again.
Do you know what's really good? as well. I mean, grounding, we talked about this the other week, was really good for inflammation. There's a lot of like scientific facts. Have you ever like just hugged a tree?
Yeah, it's so nice.
It may sound, for those of you who aren't open to it, it may sound a bit strange, but we were walking this is a while ago, we were walking in one of the forests, and there's this big, beautiful tree there. And I was like, whoa. It was just so impressive. And I was just like, literally hanging out with this tree.
Yeah.
And I gave it a big hug, and it had all this moss and stuff over it. And I'm like, I felt like it hugged me back.
Well,
do you know what I mean?
Trees are full of so much wisdom.
It was just so nice. It was so good.
They've been here a lot longer than us, and they've seen things.
That tree would have been 300, 400 years. Like, it was so big.
And you think, like, how deep their roots would go into the earth. Yeah. So you can imagine, like, everything that's being... Yeah, totally.
Yeah. It's funny, like, isn't it, when you sit in a place like that, if you sit in a forest or a woods or wherever in nature, and it's silent, and you just look around and you just feel it. Jeez, it's amazing, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. I love it.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I want to go now, like.
I know.
Yeah.
So some of the Astara correspondences. So this is things that you can embrace to kind of celebrate the day. So first one is, what can you put on your altar? So your altar is all the thing. Again, we're going very Easter vibes here, but things like colored eggs, rabbits, greenery, flowers, candles, seeds, baskets, butterflies, and wildflowers, which are bursting out everywhere here.
And
I love that.
You love wildflowers.
I do love wildflowers. I think I scratched my leg. Sorry. That really hurt. You know when you like get that little bit of pain and it just like bolts through and you go, ouch. And
it's funny that you can actually hurt yourself like that.
What is
you know when you scratch like you just did and you go,
yeah.
Like
the scratch is connected to a nerve.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like. It gave me a
I did that the other night.
Shock. What is that? I'll have to investigate later.
I put one toenail through the back of my heel when I was walking. I was just like,
I've done that before. It's so sore.
Like, why would you hurt yourself?
Yeah. Food for Astara.
Ooh.
It's always about the food.
Even just that name.
Food.
That one.
So the first one's eggs, obviously. Yeah. Eggs being new life, and then honey cakes.
Don't they just sound delicious?
So good.
You like some tea and some honey cakes?
Makes me think of what are they called? Honey joys?
Yeah.
Are they the things with cornflakes and honey?
Aren't they called crackles? No,
that's chocolate crackle is the one with the Cocoa Pops.
Honey joys.
Honey joys, aren't they the ones with cornflakes?
Ah, is that what they're called?
I think so.
I don't know. We used to call them cornflake things.
Cornflakes with honey in a cupcake case.
Cornflake things?
Cute.
Would anyone like to buy these cornflake honey things that are in a wee cup? Honey joys? No way.
That is ridiculous.
I've never heard of that name, and it's very odd. We like to simply call them cornflakes in a wee cupcake dish with honey and stuff, and then solidified.
That was quite
and it's
easy
crunchy
to make.
and it's a wee bit stringy. It's a bit complicated, but I'll have one.
Other ones are the first fruit of the season, which again, I feel like that would be so good. Like strawberries are getting so good right now.
I know.
Milk, fruit punch, hot cross buns.
Ooh.
We go straight back to Easter vibes again.
Exactly.
But do you know hot cross buns have been recorded since like almost the dawn of time. That's how old a hot cross bun is. They have been made for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, and people used to make them as an
like thousands of years,
like even thousands of years.
I was gonna say,
how old are humans?
Like tens of millions of years old. They found bones recently that date back like
really.
Oh yeah. They're finding stuff that dates back even further.
Well, they might find hot cross buns with them because they're pretty old. But like, they used to make...
find some sultanas.
Yeah, so good.
And a receipt here that says hot cross buns.
From Bakers. They used to make hot cross buns as an offering during the spring for deities like Aphrodite and Artemis. Pagans did that.
And they always had the cross on them.
Yes.
The same way that soul cakes
have crosses. So
on
crosses
them as well.
they're a pagan symbol for protection. I'm sure there probably is maybe a real reason, but from what I can gather, it's a protection thing, maybe? I don't know. We'll have to look into that.
You're the one telling the story.
But anyway, you should make hot cross buns because they're really good.
Amy makes delicious hot cross
buns. I do. Did I put... Oh no, the people who did the Astara class got the recipe. Hot cross buns. You're welcome.
Should have been there.
Enjoy. Fish, sweet bread, and tea cakes.
No, that's cute.
And often I'll make my lavender tea cake around now.
Oh, yeah.
So good. Colours are gold, green, lemon yellow, light blue, pale pink, all the pastel shades.
Beautiful.
Herbs and incense. This one's easy. All herbs.
Super simple.
All of them. Some acorns, daffodil. I love daffodils. They smell so good. They're so happy. Honeysuckle, jasmine, which always pops out in our garden in spring, and our whole garden smells like jasmine. I love it. Roses, strawberries, pansies, violets, lavender, ginger, and lotus. I love how like every time we've done this, it's like all the things I mentioned get lighter and brighter.
Yeah.
Like even the crystals, there's moss agate, green moonstone, amethyst, aquamarine, bloodstone, red jasper, rose quartz, moonstone. And then you think of like during Yule, it's all the like super dark ones. Same with Samhain, where now it's like getting lighter. I love that.
Yeah, right.
The Wheel of the Year rainbow.
I like that.
I like that too.
I never noticed that.
Animals.
I'm learning a lot.
You are learning. You're welcome. I'm full of knowledge. Animals. Unicorns.
Yes.
Hell yeah. The merfolk.
Yes.
Yes. Rabbits.
Yes.
Chickens. Snakes. We saw a baby snake in our garden the other day.
Yeah.
That was so weird.
He was tiny. I thought it was a worm initially. I thought he's very weirdly shaped.
The way he moved was very snake-like, and then he had a yellow belly.
But, well, that's what I thought. He's an odd-looking worm.
Because
he was
crazy.
about, the size of a worm.
Yeah.
And then he was a wee snake.
That was so cool.
But I moved him.
All the baby animals.
Yes.
And birds.
Tweet.
So many birds. So what can you do? What are the activities for Astara? Bird watching.
No.
Which I feel like we just do anyway because there's so many friggin' birds around us.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Making baskets, which I would love to try and do. I reckon that would be so fun. Is that showing my age now? It's like the other day on Instagram.
Bird watching and making baskets. That's my weekend. With some honey cakes and tea.
It's the other day when I wrote on Instagram, is there something that you like now that your younger self would say you're so old? I got so many funny responses because so many of them...
But all your responses are the responses you would have given whenever you were younger.
Pretty much. I haven't changed much.
Amy's just catching up.
I reckon you've aged more with that stuff.
I've always loved appliances, though, since I was about...
Yeah, but now you really love a robe.
Love a robe?
I got Paddy a robe for like a dressing gown for Father's Day, and his life has changed. I've been in a robe for years.
And do you know what else? Putting on pajama bottoms.
Yeah, I don't know why you haven't been doing that one either.
It's just a new thing in the last week.
You love a good cup of dandelion tea.
I do love a dandelion tea. It's delicious and very good for you. But
the one that you wrote to me on Instagram, you go, I love a good sit.
I love a good sit. Aye. Like, when you sit down, you go, oh, that's a good one.
Feels good on my legs.
Oh, I love a good seat.
Yeah.
Noah does that. Our little 4-year-old, he does that. He sits down and he goes, like he's had a hard day on the farm.
Yeah.
And he's sitting down, have a
Having
cup
a
of tea and some honey cakes.
What was my one? I wrote, I love a good bar of soap.
You do love
I
a bar.
do.
Every
It's
bar of
just
soap we
happened
have
all
is
of a
different.
sudden. Like when you go to a farmer's market and people have handmade soap, I'm like, ooh, that one looks really nice.
And Paddy, 3 bars is only $87. And you're like, can we reserve these for whenever guests come over?
And then the kids go in the bar. They're like, I've been playing with this soap.
Oh, they scratch it and rip it to pieces and like, no! It's $30 of goat's milk! With coffee in it.
Other things are planting seeds and plants, which I'm all about as well.
Yeah.
Egg hunts, baking.
Be careful how you say that one.
Egg hunts. That one.
Planting seeds. We're planting spuds this weekend.
We've planted, what did we do the other day? Some tomatoes.
Yes.
Sunflowers, which have popped out.
Yes.
What else did I do?
There was some herbs.
I did some coriander.
I
Some
lost track.
basil.
I was doing the weeding and the.
Paddy was the weeding
digging.
and I was the planting.
I was. Sabbat on the farm.
On the farm.
But we're planting spuds this weekend.
Yeah.
There's a guy that
The
comes
potato
around,
man,
the
we call
potato
him.
man. Yeah, I think his name's Peter. But we got.
Oh no, John's the flower man.
Yeah, I think his name's Peter.
He's so lovely.
But he has these incredible potatoes called Gibby Golds. Gibby Golds, and they're really delicious. And he sells seedlings for it. But we actually bought some and didn't use a bit of them, and
now
we've heaps. And he gives you.
Because fun fact for the people that don't know, and I only learnt this like a year ago, you plant potatoes with potatoes. Like that blew my mind. To plant a potato, you literally just chuck an old one in the ground.
Yeah, well, you wait for the wee roots to come out.
Yeah, and it becomes a seedling. Isn't that amazing?
So you might get, what, half a dozen potatoes off one?
Yeah.
But
And they're so fun to find.
But he
It's
gives
like
you
a treasure
instructions. Like he gives you instructions on how to grow them as well. So we're going to be doing that this
hunt. So
weekend.
they'll be ready for Christmas.
Yes.
Which we did last year, and they were delicious. We're so like
Farmy.
So another thing that you can do is deity work is always fun, and I always find that a big change in season kind of like changes up my magical practice, and often I find the deities I work with kind of like flow in and out throughout the year. So I feel like for me, during Samhain Yule, Hecate is a big one because it's a lot more internal work during that time, a lot more divination, a lot more like protection of the house, especially during Samhain. And she kind of fits that energy more for me. But then going into spring, I feel like Aphrodite kind of like shines, like that's her time.
Yeah,
Bridget's kind of like always around, but now I feel like there's a shift where you go, I feel like I'm more drawn to working with deities that have that spring energy.
Right.
I mean, some people may not be like that, but for me,
But you're working with them all
I work with them all the
though.
time, but I feel like they kind of like take the main stage.
Sure.
If that makes sense. But I thought I would talk about some of the deities that you might want to work with during this time. Just go through them briefly if you're interested in maybe connecting with somebody like that. First one is called Astara. Obviously, she's probably the main goddess that Astara is linked with, considering their name is the same, although she's spelt differently. So she's spelt Eostre, which kind of almost looks more like Easter to me.
Yes.
It's interesting. But she is a Germanic goddess of the dawn and always celebrated at the Spring Equinox.
That's fitting.
And she represents the maiden aspect of the triple goddess. So obviously you have maiden, mother, crone. She is the maiden. So very young, pure, growing and blossoming and just beautiful. And she's like a representation of birth and beauty. And she is often depicted as this like beautiful maiden who's surrounded by rabbits and eggs and
That's cute.
like literally like a Easter fairy, just like super flowery, and all the bunnies love her. And
That's cute.
but she's really good to call in for things like fertility, and that's not just like pregnancy, that's like new growth.
Sure, anywhere, yeah.
If you want to start a new job, if you want to start a new project, something that's the beginning stage, she's really good to kind of like kick things off.
Great.
Then you have Aphrodite, my friend Aphrodite. She's a goddess of love and passion and creation. And she often is seen as like this really ego-driven, vain goddess, which I have never had that from her. Like if you look at the stories, she causes, like they say she caused a Trojan War because she kind of like made Paris and Helen have an affair, and she like plays everyone, and she's all about, look at me, I'm so beautiful. But for me, she's always been about that self-love. Like you should love yourself more, not from an ego vain place, but as a human who should love themselves.
Right.
You deserve love just as much as anybody.
Yeah.
And so for me, she always comes through when I am feeling a little bit low, and she's like, you should do this for yourself, you should do that for yourself, you deserve all that stuff in return. And really like, it's like a confidence boost. Like, no,
she's
stand
like,
out
kind of
for
like
you.
your confident, sassy best friend.
She is, and I love that. And also another thing I find is she is also makes me remember to be mindful, because she is like a goddess of beauty. She's like, look outside, like look how beautiful everything is. Like how can you, that maybe you're having a really shit day, but if you look outside or you go stand outside, like look how beautiful the flowers are, how nice does the breeze feel. Like she kind of reminds you to be grateful and be mindful.
Stop and smell the roses.
Exactly. So I really like her for that. I find her to be very light and fun to work with. Then you have, I can never say this one's name right. Dionysus. So he is like, I actually think he is the god of that festival I was talking about before, because he's a Greek god of the grape harvest, vegetation, fertility, festivities, insanity, and ritual madness.
Ah.
So he's like...
So it's in Greece, it's not Italy.
Maybe it's in Greece. That makes more sense.
Unless he just takes a wee trip to Italy, causes a bit of mayhem, and then
he's
comes
a god, man. He can go wherever he wants. But basically, he's like a crazy god. Like he loves all the wine, has sex with everybody. Doesn't matter who they are. He'll do it, and he'll be there. But he's good because he encourages you to like just enjoy yourself and let loose a little bit, or not take things so seriously. And remember that it's springtime now. Like you don't have to be inside in the dark. You can go outside and kind of enjoy things a little bit more.
Right.
And also push your limits. Like do something that you wouldn't normally do, that maybe it scares you, or maybe it makes you feel uncomfortable, but it's something that you've always wanted to do, and you know that if you did it, you wouldn't regret it.
Have you got one of them?
Something that I want to do. Well, I want to do like skydiving and bungee jumping and all that stuff.
Yeah, but you can't do that.
I can't do that right now. Oh, as in something I want to do this year.
Well, okay. So bungee jumping and skydive, okay. In general. Yeah, I suppose in general, yeah.
Well, in general, at some
Is
point.
there always something, that you wanted to do?
I mean, I don't know. I always, like for me, I'm always the spontaneous, let's travel here, let's go here and see that.
Yeah.
Because we're both very similar in that way, where we love to go on adventures and see new things. So for me, it's always like, if a flight comes up that's like super cheap to Byron or something, I'm like, let's do it. We should just do it because we won't regret it.
No.
So stuff like that, maybe.
But what scares you that you go,
What scares me?
oh, jeez, I'd love to do that, but fuck it, I don't want to do that.
I don't know. What about you?
Um,
I have to have a think.
I have always. I feel like what I want to do is there's two things, and they're both performance based. One of them is stand up, and the other is I want to write some like slam poetry and do it at an open mic night.
You would be great at both, and I've said that to you for years that you would be good, and you should.
The comedy thing scares me a wee bit.
Because is it more that you just think, what if no one laughs?
Yeah, look, I've been an actor since I was 8-9 years old. But there's always scripts involved, and there's rehearsals, and yeah, you can rehearse stand up, but you know,
it doesn't fall on you either because you didn't write it.
The idea of, well, I have a lot of the time, like for a comedy festival.
What?
I don't know, because you're up there and you're like, "Hello, everyone. I'm this, and I'm going to make you laugh for the next 5 minutes." And what if? Jeez. I mean, I know all the information that I need to do it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I ignore it, and I'm very good at giving it out to other people.
There you go.
Funny about Dionysus, though. So whenever I lived in London, there was a place around the corner called Dionysus, and it was like open very late, and I was a kebab shop.
And I feel like he'd love that.
It was open late at night, and it was like so many people packed in, ordering, like, just drunk, ordering kebabs and chips.
That's so good.
Like that.
He would love that.
Right.
He'd be there for sure.
Right in Soho in London.
So good.
Yeah, that was great.
Another one is called Flora. So her name literally translates to flower, which is perfect. Mm-hmm. And she is a Roman goddess. She's a goddess of fertility and growth. And she has a really beautiful connection with nature and the earth around us, which you would like assume given her name. And they say that she was actually a nymph, which is a type of fairy that is usually found in like the mountains or in the flowers or the forests, and they're very beautiful. They're meant to be extremely beautiful. But she is a really good deity to call in if you are a gardener, because she said to come in and help like bless your crops and your flowers and everything, and help everything kind of flourish throughout the spring.
Yeah, right.
Which is really cool.
She's because what is it? Cinderella. There's Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather.
Yeah, that's funny.
As the
I love them.
What are they called?
The fairies. The fairy godmothers.
Fairy godmothers.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought there was only one. Yeah, sorry. Yes.
Then you have Gaia. I think everyone knows Gaia. She's that beautiful woman who's like covered in the earth, and she has the big belly, and she's really cool.
She's awesome.
She is known as the goddess of the earth and a mother to all things. So she is a elemental deity, and she encapsulates nature in all its forms.
If you've ever seen the little statues you see of Gaia, every time you look at them, you just feel so calm and at peace. She's almost like Mother Nature.
Yeah, well, she is. She is Mother Nature. That's another name for her.
Oh, okay.
But she represents the entire wheel of the year. So she...
I thought Mother Nature was like an invisible force they just gave a name to.
Well, there is that too.
Oh.
But she is essentially
Mother Nature. I'm
Nature.
learning all sorts of things today.
And she is a goddess of creation and growth, and she is someone you would call in for all like nature and earth related work. So if you were trying to connect with the element of earth, or working in the garden, you wanted to be more grounded, but again, growing things, so new projects, an idea, a baby, anything like that. But she is very good also to call in for strength, because you would think of how rooted she is into the earth and how strong, because she can literally withstand any elemental force.
Yeah,
because
right.
You think of the elements, they each have their own like beauty, where it's like the waves or the forest or the breeze, but then there's the extreme of tidal waves, hurricanes, volcanoes. Like, she can withstand anything. So she's got that really, like, that big strength about her, very, very rooted into where she is. And she's said to be very good for healing as well, because she has that beautiful earth energy. So she's definitely fun to work with. And then you have, I know you like him, the Green Man. I love him. I always think of him as the Ent from Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
Like, you would have to sit there for a good couple of hours to get some sentences out of him. He would be so fun to hang out with.
Yeah.
They do say he is more connected with Beltane, which is the next sabbat. But for me, I find he really represents the whole second half of our year, because he is a god of revival, rebirth, and the cycle of growth. Yeah. Which is from spring. So it makes sense that he would kind of be around all the time. He's said to be an extremely wise soul, so I would go to him for guidance and wisdom, and also to call in for protection for your home, because he works with the nature spirits that are everywhere.
Yeah, wow.
So I think he would be really nice to have to kind of protect your home throughout the elemental fairy time of the year.
Nice.
And then you have Pan, who is... He is the Greek horned god, so he's the one who's half goat, half human. He's got like the goat legs and the horns, but the human body. And he is often the one that in Christianity they say is the devil, and why the devil is associated with pagans, because he's got the horns and he is the devil symbol. But he's like not like that in any way. He's not evil in any way. He is meant to be very mischievous and naughty. Yeah. And he's said to be like overly sexual, so he's like always hunting the nymphs out in the forest to have a quickie with them.
You know, they have goats.
But he is the god of fertility, so that kind of makes sense that he would be doing that.
Yeah, right.
But he is a good deity to call in for like physical health, because he's also like a sun god as well. So physical health, expression of self, overcoming fears, and then sex magic as well. Yeah.
Wow.
He's naughty.
He's naughty.
He's naughty. And so then what have we got? So yes, I've already kind of mentioned that Earth Magick is like very much an important thing to call in and to embrace this time of the year. Why are you laughing?
It's just so funny. He's naughty.
He's naughty. So connecting with the earth can transpire. Come on. I thought you were an adult.
You're a professional, damn it.
You're a professional. Connecting with the earth is... So there's obviously 4 elements.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Or 5 if you want to include the element of spirit. Mm-hmm. But earth, in Feng Shui, the element... of earth is related to our overall well-being, self-nourishment, and our boundaries. And it also brings stability, it grounds us, and it brings us strength. Yeah. So all of which are extremely important. And working with the earth can transpire in so many different ways. So that can be whether you are planting seeds or plants in the garden, or using wood or clay as well, like, because that's all from the earth, like molding, creating something like that. Sitting amongst the trees, asking for their wisdom, caring for animals and the wildlife, and even nourishing our own bodies with fresh fruit, plants, vegetables. So all these things are super easy to do, and that's a way of working with the earth. And then also things like crystal magic, literally formed in the earth, and it's an excuse for everyone to go and buy more crystals. But using something like that can also be used on your altar to represent the element of earth if you want something for each of them. But it's just fun.
But isn't that what an easy way to incorporate into your life?
Yeah.
Like, you're not having to sit and do something. You know, it could be as simple as going and getting some fresh fruit and veg, like either local or whatever, but you know, from someone, and from a market, and enjoying it outside in the sun with bare feet on the ground. Like, that's a fairly straightforward thing to be able to do. You know what I mean? You don't
totally.
There's nothing. You don't need special equipment to prepare some food for yourself. So, what a great way to incorporate it in. And also then it gives you the chance to acknowledge the change in seasons, and it gives you the chance to actually, as Amy said, you know, get out there and go, wow, the sun's out, and be a part of it, and almost reintroduce yourself. Because I'm not saying that everyone becomes a hermit during winter, but it does.
There's a bit of a disconnect.
It does. And people go out a bit less, and like, just couldn't be bothered. Like, a Saturday night, we're meant to go out for dinner or whatever like that, and it's like,
but you
it's
even
raining.
think when you go outside, you have like heavier shoes on, socks.
True.
You're covered head to toe with
True,
coats and everything, so you are literally disconnected from it. When now, like, even you wear thongs on your feet or bare feet,
and you might go for a picnic, or
you're sitting down in the grass more, or sitting outside to have lunch. And it's just nicer to remember that all these little things are connecting you back to the earth, which is where people would have been hundreds of years ago.
Yeah,
they would have been getting out of their huts and making food to live, and you know, watching what the sun's doing and where
we've been
it hits.
doing that a lot. Sitting at the back on a weekend, making lunch, and then bringing chairs out we've got this pine tree at the back. It's about 30 meters or so tall.
It's huge.
It's giant, 40. It's massive, and just sitting there in the sun, bare feet, eating lunch.
It's so
something
nice.
Just as simple as that. To reconnect and do that. And grounding's a big thing I actually want to do more of.
I have a list here. So there is so grounding, what I love about it is it's like scientifically proven to work, which is something that for those who get a lot of doubt with magic and whatever, you go, well, this is like science-based thing as well.
The doco, I think we watched the same one, but the doco that I watched, I forget the doctor's name.
The Earthing movie.
But so he's a Western medical doctor, like a GP or whatever he is, and he will, on his breaks, go to the park next to his office, and he takes his shoes off, and he is a massive advocate for the science behind grounding. So it's, as Amy said, despite sort of the path we're on, you know, there are people who still doubt elements of it, and the validity of some of these sort of claims. But this is backed by the fact it's like there has been tests run, and there has been proof that grounding actually has a physical impact. It's the same way as meditation does on your body. Meditation,
something so simple has such a huge impact. Like, so for grounding, some of the things which it helps with are pain reduction, improved sleep, decrease of stress and anxiety, reduction of inflammation, detoxification of waste and toxins, balances the nervous system, regulates blood glucose, and prevents cardiovascular disease. Is that, like, not insane?
You're almost tempted to dig a hole and get in it.
Yeah.
Really, wouldn't you?
I live in a hole. I live in a hole.
Curing all my ailments.
So, like, why wouldn't you? All you have to do is literally stand outside. It's not a big thing. And that, like, even, I think it said 6 minutes a day is all it takes.
All right.
It's pretty easy.
What day is it? Should we set a challenge to ourselves?
Okay.
That we do grounding
every day for the next month, and we see what happens. Well, we'll check back in for the Beltane one and see how we're feeling. Challenge accepted.
Let's do it. Competitive as...
I was about to say, I'm extremely competitive. Like, I'm going to do 7 minutes.
I know. Well, that's what I started doing. So I have my cold showers in the morning.
I miss them.
And I would do a couple of minutes, and I'd set the timer for 2.5 minutes. But sometimes when I'm in the shower, so I'll do my affirmations in the shower, because I feel like
Explain what your cold shower is, though, for those people that aren't aware of.
For those of you who don't know, cold water therapy is, again, scientifically backed as well.
Hof.
The Wim Hof method, yeah. So Wim Hof, if you look him up, he's an interesting dude. They call him the Iceman. So he's run a couple of marathons around the... He is... I think
Scandinavian.
No, he's Dutch. Yeah, he's Dutch.
Sorry.
So he... I'm pretty sure he's Dutch. Yeah, so he... has run a couple of marathons barefoot and in shorts around the Arctic Circle. So he's got, basically he talks a lot about mind over matter, but also the benefits of cold therapy. So there's been all sorts of studies that they've done with his mind over matter. He's been able to achieve some incredible things. So him and his team were injected with live E. coli, and through his practice, he was able to actually get rid of it out of his body. He can adjust the temperature of his body at whenever he requests it. And there's these... That's crazy. I think initially when he first sort of was looking into it, or it was another study, and they've looked at these nuns who live in a convent way at the top of this hill in this really cold environment, and they were wondering how they could survive. But what they saw was, despite the fact that the temperature outside was so cold, not only could they affect their core temperature, but they could actually change the temperature of their skin just by focusing on what they were doing. So I do cold showers because the benefits are it helps a lot with stress. So if you're putting your body in a stressful environment, i.e. a really cold shower, you have to breathe and you have to get through it. Otherwise, you might pass out. So putting yourself in stressful situations and being able to manage it is one thing. It also increases the brown fat in your body, which essentially I need to look into. You put me on the spot because I need to look. I need to. How dare you? But I need to look into. So the brown fat is good fat, but it helps. It means that you don't need the other fat so much around your gut as well. It also, there's all sorts of benefits to do with, and if you have the Wim Hof breathing technique as well, that gets rid of
expels toxins
from your blood and whatnot as well. And if you do a 2.5 minute cold shower and the Wim Hof breathing for a few minutes every day, you feel incredible.
I was getting into the cold showers, but I don't know if you're allowed to do it when you're pregnant. I feel like
I think you're under enough stress.
Well, yeah, but I did enjoy it. Like when you first do it, it's like someone slaps you in the face and you go, holy shit, what is this torture? Yeah. But I feel like when you get to like maybe the 4th or 5th time, you can like feel yourself just go and like breathe and go, it's cool, and you just like concentrate on counting to like 20 seconds or a minute or whatever.
Some mornings are hard and some mornings you don't want to do it. But when you finished it, and that's what I was going to say, and how we started this, we could actually do a short episode on it.
We should.
And I'll because I've read all the research, but I don't have it mentally at hand here, so I apologize. But
maybe we should find someone that specializes in ice baths and all that stuff. Yeah. Obviously, I don't know if we can get Wim Hof on, but get someone who specializes in that to like really explain the benefits and all the stuff that comes with it.
But so I would set the alarm for 2.5 minutes. It's going back to competitiveness. I would set the alarm for 2.5 minutes and it would go off, and I'd just be like, no, I'm staying in.
40.
And then I just keep going. And then I just keep going. And then I keep going and go, all right, let's go. Because it's like a personal challenge to myself. It's kind of like when you're going for a run and you see the lamppost and you go, I'll just run to that lamppost. And then you go past the lamppost and you're like, yeah. I just beat myself.
Suck on that, me.
Yeah. I know. I feel like I failed on the delivery of the health benefits.
No, I don't think you did.
But there's more. There's more. I'm going to look them
up. That's Astara. There's so many things to talk about with Astara, but we can always come back and talk about them separately. Like working with the Fae. I want to talk about that soon.
Yeah, and well, you've done a few of them on your
TikTok.
socials. On the socials?
But yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah.
What are we going to do? We're at the show on Friday, the Melbourne show.
Well, we'll be around nature. There'll be farm animals. There'll be
will
lambs. There will be new
There'll
life.
be chocolate
There will be.
in my show bags. But I'd like to do some Astara baking, and
Yes.
we're going to plant our potatoes.
We're going to plant the spuds. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be great.
It'll be nice.
And grounding as well.
Yes,
And
every day.
also try and do a meditation. I want to see if I can do a meditation with Pan.
You should. I reckon you two would be
out.
friends.
Hang out for a minute.
I reckon you two would be friends.
It'd be funny.
I've had him pop up in a meditation before, like running
Stay
through
away.
the forest.
You know what he's like?
He's naughty. I actually, do you know what? He popped into this one where I was in a class and we were meant to be connecting with some other dude. And he came in and he's like, don't talk to him. You should talk to me. And like hijacked it. So I was like, I actually didn't get, at the end when you had to talk about your experience, I was like, I didn't get to speak to that guy at all because I got hijacked by Pan.
Oh, wow.
I'd never worked with him ever.
What did you do with him?
I can't even remember what he talked about, but nothing.
He didn't try to hang on, did he?
I don't think so. I don't know. I think I blacked out a little bit. So
Jeez. Gone sideways. We've gone sideways. Well, thank you very much for that, Amy. It was lovely to meet you. And thank you for educating. I mean, it's funny because there's a lot of obviously things that I know, and then obviously I find out there's a lot that I don't.
Well, there's still stuff I learn all the time.
Yeah.
And I think there's different aspects of a Sabbat that you embrace every year depending on where you're at. Like for me, I think last year, I think I was just happy to be here because we're in lockdown. But this year I feel really drawn to Earth Magick and working with the Fae, where I think last year I think I might have been kind of more interested in something else. So I think every time like one comes around, you're kind of drawn towards a certain aspect of it.
Yeah.
More than the others. So that's where I feel like I'm at this
Yeah.
year.
Well, I mean, obviously I suppose there's a lot of stuff that in the sort of the if you look at the official information on celebrating Astara, there's a lot of stuff that we probably find that we do, unconsciously, that we just do it without realizing. But it's always nice to know that and then acknowledge that at the same time.
And know that it's because
There's
of
good
the time we're at.
that there's intent behind it as well.
And it makes you feel like you're more naturally connected to the cycle,
Totally.
like the what's it called? The wheel of the year, because you're unconsciously just doing that. So it just proves to you that you are really connected.
And you're on the right path, yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, living seasonally is great because it's an opportunity to acknowledge what's going on around you, because otherwise sometimes a whole year passes and you haven't even taken a moment to think.
Totally.
Whereas obviously we are constantly acknowledging.
Yeah.
Constantly. And it's nice. It makes it more special.
There's always something to look forward to.
Same with the moon. It makes it more special whenever you look out and you see a full moon, and you're always aware of where it's at. And
that last full moon was a bit mean to me though.
Why?
Because I cried a lot. It was like a full moon in Pisces, and it made me a little bit crazy.
You've got your excuses.
It's fine. I'm over it now. But yeah.
Well,
thank you for being here, Patrick.
Thank you for having me. I hope there was sense in amongst all the side conversations that went on.
I'm sure someone got something from this.
I hope you did, and if you didn't, send your complaints over to Amy.
Yeah. Don't. I'm not gonna read them.
I will.
So we'll be back soon with our much requested alien stories. That'll be coming up soon.
Yeah. Thank you very much again, Amy.
Thank you, Patrick. And if you would like to find me, I'm in all the normal places except that. Did I mention this last time? I think I did.
We hadn't done it yet.
No, my last one I did by myself. that you can find me under Rose Thorn Cottage everywhere now, which is exciting and much more helpful to remember.
Rose Thorn with an E. Cottage.
On Instagram and Facebook and Patreon. And
TikTok.
TikTok is Witch of Rose Thorn Cottage. I've actually been more on TikTok lately, which I'm starting to enjoy. But yeah, that's it.
Thank you. And we won't see you before Astara.
No, so have a beautiful
Have a blessed Astara.
And enjoy all the things.
Enjoy your time, guys.
Bye-bye.
Toodaloo.
Bye.